Morning, everyone. Week 13, start, sit, live stream. Man, we're getting closer to the fantasy football playoffs. 8 teams are already done for the weeks. We had the 4 holiday games, so that kind of changes the equation on some of these start sits. I do need to go over the weather update for the San Francisco Buffalo game. Obviously, with weather, that could change at any point in time, but here is what I just got in the last hour from NFLweather.com. During the game, 3 to 5 inches of snow possible. The chance of the snow is 90%. The temperature, 22 degrees. It'll be within 1 or 2 degrees. That's their 4 quarters. Winds are 8 miles an hour. So that puts the wind chill at 13 degrees. The wind gusts up to 14 miles an hour. If the snow is falling at the expected rate, and it's as cold as, first of all, the 49ers are in a real bind. Brock Purdy's shoulder is clearly not 100%. So good luck throwing balls to the perimeter. Also, it's a messy field. This is a warm weather team. They're without their left tackle, Trent Williams, which is massive. He hasn't playing as great as he has in the past, but he's still by far their best lineman. Also without their left guard, Aaron Banks. This is a very, very bad spot for the 49ers. Also, the Bills frequently will play at one high shell, meaning they'll leave an extra space to teams to run on them. That's probably not happening here. This is probably a game where Buffalo says, you know what? 49ers offense is not explosive this year. Debo's not running well. Juwan Jennings is clearly not Brandon Ayuk. Different player, just way different. So we're going to put extra bodies down. We're going to make them work with that injured offensive line. You play CMC. He probably gets 5 or 6 screen passes here. The yardage may not be. If they happen to get a pass interference in the end zone and he runs in a 1-yard touchdown, there's that. You probably start McCaffrey. Debo, he's been terrible for 2 weeks. He's hurt. Still, who knows what the pneumonia did to him? He's hard to play. I have him baked with 4 games out of the way. My current wide receiver, like 37 or so, that's what all the players who are done already. He's done nothing for 2 weeks, and I just don't see it getting better here. And Juwan Jennings, 3 catches for 25 yards, maybe. He's an outside receiver in this weather. Kittle, go ahead, boom or bust. I mean, if he gets one and he runs with it, great. It's hard to sit him because he's in the middle of the field. So there's that. And then finally, the Buffalo side. Look, I love Amari Cooper. He's 2 weeks removed from the wrist injury. He's probably fine. But again, they're probably going to run the ball. The 49ers are down Nick Bosa and Jordan Elliott, 2 of their 4 front defenders. And Buffalo's offensive line is massive. They're going to run the ball. James Cook's going to run. If you're in a super, super, super pinch, Ray Davis has a shot to get 8 carries here, especially if they get a lead, which I think they will. I can't guarantee Ray Davis. All right, understand that but this could be a game where we see him. Josh Allen is probably going to be, I move him down a little bit, but he's probably going to run the ball more in this game. So that makes him fine for fantasy. And I think he could have a big game on the ground if they need him to. Shakir, I probably start. I lower expectations a bit because he's in the middle of the field again. And that's about it. So that's my thought on that game, because that's going to be a lot of questions. So if I have players in those games, I kind of brought it up here. All right, got to soak a couple super chats, and then I'll get to the questions here. Let's get to the super chats. We got John. Good morning to you as well. You got Gus, Adonai Mitchell, and McNichols. So with Brian Robinson in, McNichols will get a little bit of a passing down role, but I don't expect it to be heavy. Tennessee's a good defensive team. So I just don't know that this, because he hasn't done very well other than those games that he found the end zone earlier in the season. I think Brian Robinson gets those goal line touches. Adonai Mitchell, look, I get it that Downs is out, so Mitchell probably moves to the slot, but Mitchell and Downs are not the same player. I think New England is going to play more zone than usual in this game because of all the injuries in the offensive line, and just Downs is their best receiver. I think we're going to see a lot of zone. I think Gus has the floor. Falcons are not a great matchup. The interior offensive line for the Chargers does not get a lot of push, but Gus should get volume. And if he could get a goal line carry, I would probably trust Gus over these other players, because I can't say Mitchell's a boom bust play. I don't know there's a boom there. So I would just take the floor of Gus and call it a day. Dave, another super chat question. Again, if you want to jump the line, super chat's the way to do that. Otherwise, I will get to you in the order I see them. And by the way, if you use super chat, there's a tiny number in the corner of the screen. I look at it as often as I can, but it doesn't like pop out to me. So as soon as I see it, I get to it. All right, Dave, PPR. Brian Thomas Jr., Marquez Valdez Scantling, or Quentin Johnson, you're behind 25 points. So, you know what? I really have to give you a Brian Thomas here. Trevor Lawrence is healthy enough to play. Brian Thomas has been an excellent receiver. I am not worried about him in this matchup at all. There's not a cornerback who could really hang with him. Valdez Scantling, look, he's been in the league 7 years. He's had 7 regular season 100-yard games. And in the last 2 games, he had 103 and an 87. Can he do it again? Yes, maybe. He's their number 1 receiver in name. I think the Rams, because they have equal pressure across the line, I think that the rollouts don't have the same effect they do against teams that have like 1 or 2 pass rushers. Quentin Johnson, God, after last week dropping the ball, those passes, he's tough to trust. Brian Thomas Jr. is my player. One more super chat question. Scott, all right. Knicks or Daniels? It's a good question. Knicks plays Cleveland. Here's the thing with Cleveland. Cleveland busts a lot of coverage, but Knicks throws a lot of short and intermediate stuff, and Cleveland's actually good against that. I think that's a lower scoring game. Jaden Daniels, he's got to get healthier by the week. The Tennessee matchup for him, I think he can get it going on the ground a bit. I also think that realistically, this is probably another game where Terry McLaurin has a better matchup. When he has tougher matchups right now, I'm worried about him. This isn't one of those. So I would probably give Daniels the edge here by a decent margin. Debo or Ridley, Scott, I got to go with Ridley here. And honestly, I was saying earlier with Debo with the weather, he's looked bad the last 2 weeks. I think Buffalo compresses the defense because of the weather conditions and Purdy's shoulder. And I think they're going to gum up the middle of the field. And that really would hurt Debo because Debo counts on spacing. And I don't think spacing is going to be there. Ridley's been great. I'm going to give Ridley the whirl here. Again, Ridley's matchup is fine. There's nothing to worry about with Ridley's matchup. So there's that as well. All right. Get to the regular line. Starting out with Mike. Good morning to you as well. Appreciate you very much. Full point PPR, sit one, Najee or Stevenson. Oh, that's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think because I predict the Colts and Patriots game to be very low scoring and close. That means it could be a game where Ramondre gets 18 to 20 carries. Therefore, I believe his floor is higher than Najee. Najee is a bad matchup. Najee has not been efficient the last 3 or 4 weeks, and the Bengals have been very good against the run. I think the change of pace, Warren is actually in a better spot because he could get a couple screens, and I think those change of pace runs with the differing speed of the back benefit him. But look, Harris could fall in the end zone. That could happen. But I think probability-wise, Stevenson's your better play. Good morning to you as well. Breakdown, Moody. Oh, Moody versus Harrison. Moody. Why? Oh, Mooney maybe? Maybe you mean Darnell Mooney versus Harrison. Which one should you start? Appreciate your nice comment there. All right. You know what? If there's a week to start Harrison, in my mind, this is it. They've had a couple games, like especially the Bears game, where they blew them out and they didn't have to do anything with throwing. I think Murray threw 20 passes. Murray is going to be throwing the ball more here because Minnesota shuts the run down pretty well. I don't think Connor gets rolling on the ground. I think as a receiver, he'll be okay. But I think that said, those pressures that Minnesota sends in a lot of different blitz pressures, they don't get home. Murray's going to be able to go and buy a lot of time on these, and the corners aren't very good. And he's the type of quarterback I think could really exploit this defense. And they've been using Harrison on differing routes, not just a straight down go routes they were early in the season. It's just been game script that's kind of hurt him. If you're good, there's a week to play him. It's this one. Mooney, I don't like his matchup. The Chargers play a very disciplined zone. Now their left corner is out, but Mooney often plays on the offensive left. Well, they move him around, of course, but a lot of plays on the offensive left often. And the zone is very good at limiting the downfield plays. Now, Mooney's been used in a lot of different ways, but I think Mooney is not having a big game here. The matchup wouldn't dictate that. I think Drake London's fine. So I'm going to give Harrison the edge here in this one. Kevin, good morning. Yeah, thank you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving as well. You need the following in a PPR. Need 3 from the following: Pollard, Brian Robinson, Bucky Irving, Mooney, or Garrett Wilson. And you need 3 of them. Pollard's tough to sit. I know he doesn't always have a great game, but he has been an outstanding runner all year. I don't think there's much of a reason to go away from him. I do have him ranked pretty aggressively with the remaining running backs. My running back 14. And Bucky Irving has a fantastic matchup. To me, in my mind, Bucky Irving last week he finally out snapped Rashad White, and he has been money. I don't think you can sit him in this cake matchup. And Brian Robinson apparently off the injury report, and that means something. And Tennessee's been good against the run, but they'll use a lot of 2 tight end looks, and they'll get the power running game going. I would trust the running backs here. Garrett Wilson's tough because Seattle, they've been running the simulated pressures. They've been getting Ernest Jones, the linebackers, really helped them with that. And Mooney, you heard me talk about that matchup. So I would go with the running backs here. All right, see what we got here. And we've got Jeff next. Morning, Jeff. Tank Dell or Shakir. This one's tough because the weather with Shakir is going to be a potential issue. Yeah, there's no doubt. I moved Shakir down my rankings. With the remaining receivers on the board, I have him as wide receiver 24. Dell, I have as wide receiver 26. I think this way. If you need the floor, Shakir in the weather should catch you 4 or 5 passes. I don't know how much yardage it goes for. I think if you need a big game out of your receiver, I don't think Shakir has that upside this week. So I would say the boom bust play would be Tank Dell. But if you want a stable floor, I think Shakir has a solid floor because the middle of the field in a weather game is a useful utility. Hurts or Daniels? I got to go with Hurts here. Daniels, like I said, over other players, like some people have with Bo Nix, and there's a place I favor Daniels. I've Hurts my quarterback too. And I know the Baltimore matchup in some ways is difficult, but Baltimore gives up a lot of big plays in the passing game. A.J. Brown could be a game where he goes off. And maybe it's a game where Saquon doesn't quite dominate and they got to throw a little more. And I think it could be a game where Jalen Hurts takes off more. But at this point of the season, I would pretty much just make Hurts an auto start over Daniels until Daniels reemerges. And I know last week all that garbage time with Dallas, I got it, and that was beautiful, but there probably isn't going to be garbage time in the Tennessee game. So there's that. All right, good there. All right, let's see here. Oh, I answered that one already. I'm down here. You go. YouTube user. More in you as well. Half PPR, 3 of 4. McLaurin, Evans, Pickens, Taysom Hill. Oh, man. Evans and Pickens for sure. Both have phenomenal matchups. Can't sit them here. Hill is interesting. They're talking about the usage and they want to keep using him. And they're playing the Rams, and it's not a bad matchup. McLaurin, he's got, last week he had that crazy 86-yard touchdown, which that play's not repeatable. If that play didn't happen, he's under 30 yards 3 of the last 4 weeks, but he's still the primary touchdown pass catcher for them. So I think McLaurin is actually more stable, and I'm not worried about McLaurin's matchup against Tennessee at all. So I would probably roll with the 3 receivers here. I know Taysom Hill had that insane fantasy game a few weeks ago. And is it possibly reproduce that? Of course, but I wouldn't bank it. But again, if you got to swing for the fence and you need a big home run out of one of these players, because then I would probably favor Hill over McLaurin in that case. But McLaurin has a much more stable, reliable floor. All right, Nancy, we got you next. Tank Dell or DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf is getting healthier each week. They pulled him off the injury report with a shoulder this time, but it was the knee that was the issue earlier. And I think he's well past that right now. So I think at this point, we are much more favorable DK Metcalf. And the Jets, in name, they have a great secondary. Sauce Gardner is not playing anywhere near the level we've seen him in the past. This defense is largely checked out since Robert Saleh left. They had a bye last week. This team is imploding from within. It's been for a while. I trust DK Metcalf here. Tank Dell, with the 2 high shells they're seeing, he has no space over the top. And in the games that Nico Collins has played, he hasn't had a big one. His 100-yard game came when Nico was out. So I got to go with Metcalf there. With kickers, I'm sorry, I don't do kickers. Kickers are all luck, and I'm the unluckiest person on the planet. So if one is kicking indoors, like Lutz, I don't know, if one of them is kicking indoors, check that. If there's a higher over-under, check that. But kickers, yeah, if you want luck, I can't do that. I'm horrible at it. But any skill-based question, I'm happy to answer. And thank you for the kind words of loving the show, Nancy. Appreciate you. Andrew, you're next. Hey, Andrew. Guillotine League, 1 flex spot available. You can use CMC, Sutton, Pickens, or London. What do you think? It's kind of hard to go away from Pickens against Cincinnati because Cincinnati is so bad against downfield receivers. She has a great mismatch, but Sutton has a great matchup as well. I have Sutton and Pickens like 9 and 10 at my remaining wide receivers because Cleveland busts so many coverages, and they've been using Sutton for some downfield throws. He's really been playing well the last 4 weeks. London, we always love London. I have London my wide receiver 6. I do think, look, Cam Hart, the left corner's out. Free safety Alohi Gilman's out. He's very, very good in coverage. London moves to the slot 30-40% of the time. A lot of catch and run. I think London has the most stable target share of this group, and then CMC, and probably not playing him in the snow game. I can't see that helping him with the lack of explosives the young man's had. So I'm going to go with Drake London in this one. I think I'm going to go with that one. All right, we got Jeff Richardson or Winston. You know what? I'm not going to trust Winston this week. Denver gets quite an excellent pass rush, and their corners, even if Riley Moss doesn't play for them, they still got Surtain. The safety coverage is solid. So I'm going to give Richardson the edge here, even though it's a lower scoring game. Richardson will run for something. I just don't know how much damage Winston is able to do in his very nightmarish matchup. And the Cleveland offensive line is not big. I got another super chat question, and then we'll get to Chris. All right, Thomas, 6-point passing touchdown, Mayfield, Stafford, or Nix. It's going to be very close here. I have Mayfield at quarterback, 3 of the remaining quarterbacks, Stafford at 9. I think Mayfield has the higher floor. He gets it done pretty much every week. There's a great opponent. I know they can run on them too, but they're not going to. They've been very neutral on their run pass balance, and they throw to the backs, they throw to Mike Evans. It's been a thing of beauty. Now Stafford has massive upside here because New Orleans does not get interior pressure, and when Stafford doesn't see interior pressure, he's lethal. And I believe that Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua against Alante Taylor and the secondary, I think it's a stylistic matchup advantage for them. So, but here's the other thing: Kyron Williams could have a game because New Orleans is not a good run defense. So Mayfield may have a higher ceiling. I'm sorry, Stafford may have a higher ceiling than Mayfield, but I think Mayfield's floor is a lot higher and the ceiling is close. I'm not putting Nix in this category because I think his matchup is enough of a problem with the pass rush to keep him out. So I would give Mayfield the edge, but if your gut says Stafford, definitely go there because, again, if Kyron Williams doesn't steal all the touchdowns, it could be one of those 4 touchdown games for Stafford, but it's always a thing. If they're on the 1 yard line, it'll be Kyron Williams. So there's that. Great question. All right, Chris, thank you for the kind words. Appreciate you. Half PPR, Kyler Murray or Bo Nix. You know what? I look, Murray last week, honestly, not his fault. Mike McDonald of Seattle really, really in the last 2 games has upped the way they're playing. They're playing that Raven style defense. He's got it clicked with Ernest Jones brought in at linebacker. That was a huge ad for them. And Murray that defense gave him nowhere to go. Minnesota's different. Minnesota sends a ton of blitzes. Those blitzes don't always get home. They don't get home often. That's good for Murray because Murray's going to have to break contain, but they're not good pass rushers. And when he breaks contain, the secondary is not good for the Vikings. They're going to get exposed here. There's a great chance Murray gets rushing yardage in this one, which he hasn't gotten in about a month. There's a good chance he was passing yardage. I think his floor is with Bo Nix, but I think Murray has a much higher ceiling, so we go with that. Otten or Hawkins, it's really close on that one. Hawkinson, I'm going to go with the better player here. I have Hawkins as my tight end 3 this week. I got Otten as my tight end 7. It's very close. I don't know how much they need Otten in this game. A lot of times they need him when like some pressure is coming. I think Mike Evans gets a lot of targets here. I think the running backs get heavily involved. I don't know. Whereas Hawkinson, I think the middle of the field is a great place to attack Arizona. And they've shown they're getting him targets. And I think Justin Jefferson gets way more this week. But I think that's a higher scoring game, too. That's the edge I would lean with. But if your gut says Otten, it's hard to argue it. Hawkins is still playing about half the snaps. I think he might have played a few more last week. But that was it. And then McLaurin or Adams. I got to go with McLaurin here. Adams had that one touchdown against Houston when it was a play where they were just guarding the sticks, and then he went over the top and they got the long touchdown. It hasn't been going well, and I just don't expect the Jets to look good against the Seattle defense coming out of the bye. I give McLaurin the edge here. Got another super chat question before we get back to Jay. See what we got here. Might have a couple of them, actually. All right, Jay, good morning to you as well. need with a focus on upside for flex PPR, Juwan Jennings, and yes, you're correctly concerned about the weather, and Trent Williams and Aaron Banks, the left guard, being out. It's a lot of problems, though. But yeah, the weather. McNichols. I like Jalen Warren here. Jalen Warren. So this is where we talk about Najee Harris being a little bit inefficient. He's going to get his carries, but the defense plays at the speed of the lead back. And we see it all the time. We see it with the Tony Pollard, Zeke Elliott back in the day. We see it with Warren and with Harris even the last year. The speedy back comes in, the defense is playing at the speed of the starter, and the other back looks way better. Doesn't mean he's better, but for fantasy, he is. And I do think in this game, throwing screens to the running back could be a deal. I think Jalen Warren is an excellent play this week. I have him as my running back, 21 of the remaining backs on the board, but I do think he's right. McNichols, I think Brian Robinson gets those goal line looks and not McNichols, and that takes away because McNichols did well. It's because he was scoring short touchdowns. I don't like Jennings this week. Between the weather, outside passing, Purdy shoulder, not a good. And like I said, the lineman out and Buffalo, if they're in passing downs, they have a nice versatile pass rush. Kobe need 2 of the 4, Metcalf, McLaurin, Ridley, and Jennings. So you just heard me talk about Jennings, and I'm fairly out on him, and I love Juwan Jennings. So there's that. And by the way, those who are kind of checking in, I put a coding on there, but the red-ish means there's perceived downside with that player, and green means there's perceived upside with that player. The rankings are good where they're at, but I add in those little things because every player, when I see extra volatility, I kind of factored in. So anyway, Metcalf's in for you, Kobe. Again, like I said earlier, the Jets corners in name are great, but they have far been from great this year. And after the bye, that team seems checked out. And I would go Ridley as my next one. Calvin Ridley has been playing well for about a month. Those 3 horrible games he had are very far in his rearview mirror. I have him as my wide receiver, 16 of the remaining slate. And really, Washington is not a scary matchup in any way for them. They don't get much pass rush. The corners are, I know and the name evades me, the rookie Sandstrom. Sandstrom's been playing pretty well. Look, Ridley's been getting it done, and they get him the ball. So I would go with Ridley. Those would be my 2 I would play there. And then, Chris, thanks for the super sticker. I appreciate that very much. All right, and let's get back on here. And I'm on. Let me see. And then, Chris, I think I answered that one for you already. And, yeah, we answered that one for you already. And then we're going to go with Jay next. Jay, did I answer? No, I didn't answer one for you. Otten or Goddard? Oh, this is a tough one, too. I see Goddard as having upside in this game. I didn't mark him that way, and I should have. Actually, I should put that on there right now while we speak. I'll put the upside tag. Baltimore is about the 10th worst team against tight ends, and with Devontae Smith, he's unlikely to play. He may work out pregame, as the line from Ian Rappaport. And he's somebody else at NFL. Rappaport cited somebody on his team as well, but it seems very pessimistic. So Goddard could be in an attackable situation. Barkley is going to have a little tougher of a matchup than usual. Not that we're scared from Barkley, but it may not get him just carrying the team for 4 quarters. So I think I'm going to have to throw out a little more here. And I do think Goddard is in a good situation against a team that struggles to stop that. And then Bills or Texans defense, I like playing to the weather. I mean, 49ers are down their left side of their offensive line. Quarterback's got a shoulder injury. Buffalo probably plays with a lead. We could see a botched handoff, botch snaps, all these things could happen. I think using the weather as a tiebreaker is a solid idea. Otherwise, Houston plays Jacksonville. I think get Trevor Lawrence back, so maybe the turnovers won't quite be there. I'd go with the Bills. I got another super chat, and then I'll get back to Big Meech. Robert. All right, what do you got, Robert? Let's see. Flexing the full PPR. You got Garrett Wilson, Brian Thomas, James Conner, Jalen Warren. You need 2 and max upside. All right. So since you need upside, we're talking boom, bust. And James Conner has a bad matchup against Minnesota, but Minnesota will give up explosive runs to running backs, and Conner is among the league leader in big runs. They put those 2 tight end sets out there, and he gets at a second level, and he can take from there. He also can catch the ball. He has touchdown upside. So for upside, max upside, I would look at James Conner. I also Brian Thomas. Look, you get Lawrence back healthy enough to play. I think that there's nothing oppressive about the matchup. I think he's going to get plenty of targets in this one. So Brian Thomas Jr. is definitely a player who I have as my 17th of the remaining wide receivers. But I do think that big play potential could come through for him. And I would think, and we love Garrett Wilson, but I don't think in this specific matchup against Seattle that usual upside's there. That's the way I would go for the max upside, Robert. All right, let's see where we're at here. Let's see if it knocked me off my spot. Big Meech was up. All right, here we go. We're about 15 minutes from inactives here. All right, Big Meech, Brock Purdy or Drake May. Big Meech, I got to go Drake May. Purdy's shoulder is not right. The weather's bad. It's going to 3 to 5 inches of snow expected, 13-degree wind chill, wind gusts of 14, which normally isn't a problem, but when you got snow and cold, I just don't want to take that chance. I don't know how the 49ers are scoring points in this one, quite honestly. So Drake May would be it. Drake May probably doesn't have a big game here, but I think his floor is better than Brock Purdy's. Ethan, what do you got here? Full point PPR. Full point. Yeah, you need 2. Smith and Jigba, Metcalf, Rashad White, and Shakir. Man, it's always tough to say 2 guys in the same team, but this probably isn't. I don't think the scoring is super high. Rashad White has a great matchup. Now, last week, he finally played fewer snaps than Bucky Irving. That was the first time. Normally, about 60% of the snaps, the touches were even. But I think against Carolina, they probably have a lead. I think he's probably reasonably involved. I would be inclined to go Metcalf and Rashad White. Smith and Jigba does have a tougher slot matchup with Michael Carter, one of the better slot corners in the league. I think Metcalf a week healthier, gets back to needing more targets. Also, we notice when the Seahawks are chasing, they lean on Smith and Jigba more. I don't think they're chasing in this game. I think at best it's low scoring, and at worst they have a big lead. So I would go with Metcalf and Rashad White. Trust your gut on that one. This is a real close one across the board. The weather is why I'm downgrading Shakir on this one. Disley or Pitts. So Pitts had 3 straight games where he played about 40-ish% of the snaps. He was dealing with a hamstring injury. And then the last game before the bye, he went back to 70. I think that he is going to be healthy coming out of the bye now. I think they were spotting him a bit. He has a number of 50-yard games. I do think that Kyle Pitts is in line against the Chargers. Remember, their free safety, Alohi Gilman's out. That's a big deal. They have one linebacker out, and another one is a game-time decision. So I think that Pitts has a favorable matchup. I don't have Disley very far behind him on the rankings, as you see on the screen, but I do think Pitts has a better chance of getting in the end zone in this one. I give Pitts the edge. Chris, good morning to you. Super thin at receiver. Need 2 of the following PPR. Devontae Smith, as I said earlier, and you heard this, I know, very unlikely to play here. Quentin Johnson, Alec Pierce, Adonai Mitchell, Elijah Moore, Devon Vele, and David Moore. You need 2. So the expectation is that Devontae Smith doesn't play. I'm going to look at what other late games there are. So I think what we'll do is this. He's probably not playing up. Let's see what the other ones are late pivots. If you have a late pivot, you have Moore and Vele. So you have a late pivot anyway. So if Smith plays against this group, you would play him, but I don't think he's in. After that, I would be inclined. I think the Patriots are going to slow down the passing game here. They're a good pass defense. This is not a good matchup for Richardson. I wouldn't look at the Colts receivers. I would probably be inclined to look at Vele for sure. Vele outside, moving a little more to the outside lately, but he's the second target. Tough to run in this matchup for Denver. So I think he's going to get some targets. I think he's a good play here. It's hard to go back to David Moore after the 100-yard game. It just was one of those fortuitous things. Kansas City just can't cover the corners outside corners anymore. We saw Jacoby Myers ate him alive too. So, but the second one in terms of that, I know those drop passes from Quentin Johnson were a real problem. But, man, he's got a good matchup here, and they're going to have to throw to win. I'm going to sound crazy for saying this, but I would go back to Quentin Johnson. He is getting targets, and he has mostly been okay. And, yeah, because that's an early game. So, if Devontae Smith is active, then you have to sit Vele. So we'll go that way. Master J3, good morning to you. Is McConkey or Bright? Oh, that's a tough one. Yeah, that's a good question. So tell you exactly where I have him in my rankings. I got McConkey at 21 of the remaining receiver, and Brian Thomas at 17. So you see it's super close here. McConkey probably gets more catches here. Brian Robinson has a better chance of scoring a touchdown and getting a big play. If you want the most reliable play, I think McConkey has a lock for 6 catches in this game. I think he's like almost a lock for that. And there's no locks in football. We know that, but that's close to a lock. So if you want the super safe floor play, very, very high floor, and he could go off, it'd be McConkey. If you're looking for a player that has a bit higher of overall upside, it'd be Brian Robinson. Oh, I'm sorry. I mixed up Brian Thomas. I always mix up Thomas and Robinson. So backing up, Brian Robinson of the Washington Commanders, my bad. So Brian Robinson, it's whether he gets the goal line. Tennessee's a tough draw against the run. They've been a good run defense. I tried to write it off on schedule earlier. They're pretty good. I'm going to give McConkey the edge here as I backtrack. Thomas, Robinson, these Bryans are getting me. Yeah, so I go McConkey there. Delroy, PPR, half PPR, start 2. JSN, Bateman, London, and Flowers. Definitely want to go Drake London here. Again, Alohi Gilman's out. Left corner, Cam Hart's out. They're missing some linebackers. London goes in the slot the 40% of the time. I don't see this as an oppressive matchup. I think this is one where a superstar is playing against non-superstar secondary players. Scheme is nice. I think Drake London supersedes that. What I would say on the last one is this. Zay Flowers, I see as a boom bust. This is not a good matchup for him. If this game goes off the rails scoring, we could see the boom game. But there's a lot of scenarios where Zay Flowers has that because he has like 4 games this year where they're rough. JSN has a higher floor. Excuse me. Sorry about that. JSN's a higher floor. I would trust if you need a floor play, I'd play him. But if you've got to go for ceiling, I don't think it's a ceiling game for JSN. I think Flowers has that ability. So in London, for sure, you want safety, JSN. You want boom bust, then go with Zay Flowers if you got to scramble for points. Stafford or Kyler, 4-point passing touchdown. So you'll see in the ranking, I got Kyler at 7. I got Stafford at 9. They're razor close. I mentioned earlier, you probably heard me say it. I could see a world with New Orleans not getting a pass rush. This is a great match. But the thing for Stafford is if Kyron Williams gets going, maybe he doesn't throw as much. That's in the realm. So Stafford, they're obviously both have a lot of floor because Kyler's had some bad games. I love Kyler's matchup here. I do think with the way Minnesota blitzes, they don't get home. I think he's going to have to get outside the pocket. And when he gets outside the pocket, good things happen. He can run, which he hasn't been doing for about a month. It's going to open up Marvin Harrison. Overall, I think they're both great plays. This is a gut call. If it's my lineup, I'm going with Kyler Murray because, again, this styles make fights. I think he gets out and he runs, and that gives him the edge over Stafford. Master J3, full PPR, Ertz, Disley, Douglas, Vele. Ertz is hard to bet against for the floor that he's had. Now, Tennessee's been excellent against tight ends, so it mutes it a little bit. Disley, again, we've seen games where he hasn't done a lot in the last 4 weeks. We've seen a couple games where he's got touchdown down the seam, which is really nice. Douglas, less than 100%. Kenny Moore, slot cornerback, not the best matchup for him. Vele, I do like Vele's matchup here. I think Vele going to the outside a bit more. He's emerging as the second option in the offense. Cleveland's corners have not been playing up to their standards. But also all that said, I still think Ertz has a floor in this that's better than the others. I would go with Ertz and Vele here. If you need to swing for a boom bust, I would sit Ertz and take a chance on Disley. Disley's boom bust because he could get in the end zone, and that would put him over Ertz, but projecting a touchdown for him is difficult to do. Delroy, full PPR, start 1 in a flex. Thielen, Cooper, Bateman. I like Thielen in this one. Jatavian Sanders, the tight end, is out. Coker, who was playing slot, 6'3", 208, but big slot was playing. He's out again. Thielen is able to reclaim his slot role like he did last week. Remember, Thielen had an end zone target last week that was broken up. He was interfered with on a 2-point conversion, so he's getting opportunities in the end zone. I think they're going to have to throw in this game. It's a great matchup. Tampa blitzes a lot, which means the hot read will be Thielen. Bryce Young has a great familiarity with him. Love Thielen here. Between the other two, Cooper and Bateman, this is tough. I don't know how much to the outside. Now, Josh Allen has a howitzer for an arm, so that's going to help with the weather conditions. Bateman, the targets are low. Baltimore, they got the Vic Fangio defense. They've been great against the pass. I don't like either of these, but I would give Cooper the edge because of Josh Allen, the potential of, and I don't, again, I have them both lowly rated this week, but I got to go Cooper here because I do think Allen can beat the wind with his arm if he needs to. And Charvarius Ward doesn't always travel. And Diamador Lenwar is out there, secondary's thin. If they need to throw, Cooper could be okay here. And he should be past the wrist injury. He played the last game. He had 13 days off, so that's got to be gone, you would think. Chris. 1 point PPR flex, pick one. Pollard, Thielen, Warren. Oh, that's great. That's a great one. You're welcome. I'm going to take Jawan Jennings out of this. You heard me talk about the matchup earlier. I'm not excited about his matchup here with the snow, the wind, the cold, Brock Purdy's shoulder. It's problematic. Pollard, he gets volume, and we got to see if Tyjae Spears is playing. I have no official word on him yet with the concussion. If Tyjae Spears is out, we'll wait for inactive. It's coming in a few minutes, but by the time you see this, you might be gone. If Tyjae Spears is inactive, you play Tony Pollard. If Tyjae Spears is active, I think you go to Adam Thielen. I love Jalen Warren this week. Well, you got two. Flex, no, pick one. So I'm going to go with Thielen next. You heard me talk about Thielen a minute ago, so I don't need to repeat all that. So Thielen would be if again, Tyjae Spears is playing, then go ahead and play Thielen. If Spears is out, play Pollard. All right. Bama. Good morning to you as well. Flex question, half PPR. Taysom Hill at tight end. Cooper, White, Ottner, Quentin Johnston. I think the best blend of floor and ceiling is Rachaad White. Again, he played less snaps than Bucky Irving last week, but they should play with a lead against Carolina, which means they should involve both running backs. Both can do really well in this beautiful matchup. So I would be inclined to say White has the best floor ceiling combo of this group. Oh, I'm glad you got the Pollard one last week. Excellent. Yeah, it's kind of nice. Like I said, when Pollard has a backfield to himself, when he gets more carries, the dude just ends up breaking runs. He just needs that volume. You got to get those opportunities. Bill, good morning to you as well, and thank you. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. PPR, you need one running back and two flex. You need three players here. White, Harrison, Shakir, Gus Edwards, Vidal. You're starting Justin Herbert. Yeah, Justin Herbert's a beast. All right, so running back and two flex. I will go with Rachaad, but you just heard me talk about him, so I don't need again to rehash all that. I do think it's a great spot for him. The problem with Gus Edwards and Vidal is they're going to split. Atlanta's a good run defense. They're not great, but they're good. And the interior line for the Chargers is not good in run blocking. The tackles are very good. J.K. Dobbins had the explosives to get around. I know Vidal had, 4.6 speed. He had good testing time. I just think at this point I would trust White, and I am going to go. Look, I know it's risky. I'm going with Harrison here. They've been using him in a more diverse way. You heard me talk about Murray in this matchup. When the blitz comes, he's going to try to break contain. They are going to have opportunities to exploit the bad cornerback play, which a lot of teams don't get to do of the Vikings. I'm going to go with Harrison here. Morning, Mark. Quarterback question. Point per completion is 6 point per touchdown league. Need to win to stay alive. Cousins or Russ? Oh, man. You'll notice that, I didn't put where's Russ on here? Where is he on my rankings? Oh, he's up there. I have Russell as my quarterback 12 this week, and I didn't put the upside because I think I factor that in. The Bengals are a team. They're hard to run on, but you can pass on them. And the way that offense goes with the slants and the deep shots, that plays to the weakness of the Cincinnati defense. So, and point per completion, though, that makes it interesting because Russ's completion percentage isn't great. Cousins, it's an interesting game. The Chargers have a lot of great peripherals, but again, they have a lot of injuries. Gilman, the free safety's out. Cam Hart, the left corner's out. They have one linebacker out. Perryman's out. Diane Henley is a game-time decision. I think there's a great chance because if Cousins isn't pressured, and interior pressures is kryptonite, and the Chargers don't get that. So this is, I have them ranked 5 spots apart, but I have Cousins with upside. So I'll say this. I think Russ is probably, even points per completion, I think Russ is a little safer. Believe that I'm calling Russ safe, right? but I do think Cousins could have a game here. And so if you need to swing for defense a bit, I would go Cousins, and his floor shouldn't be bad. This isn't the game where he's getting sacked 5 times. So my lineup, I'm starting Cousins. But I have Russell Wilson rightfully ranked higher because the stylistic matchup is better for him. So hopefully that helped. All right, super chat question. Sideshow Mill, need 1.5 point. Debo, Pittman, Thielen, or Judy. Judy's playing about 62% on the outside this year. He played a lot of slot in the past. That means, and look, Cedric Tillman's out. They will travel Patrick Surtain. If they travel Surtain, they ain't traveling with Elijah Moore. They're probably traveling with Jerry Judy. That worries me. Pittman, he'll see a number of snaps on Christian Gonzalez. I don't know how many that is. That's not a good matchup for Pittman. Debo hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks. The weather's going to be a big issue. I expect the Bills to compress the field because they don't want to play one safety high. They're probably going to be, they play 2 safeties high, I should say. They play 2 safeties high. They're probably not doing that here. They're probably playing 1. They're probably saying, look, Purdy ain't going to be able to beat us deep. So I think it's a tough game for Debo. Spacing's going to be a problem. I like Thielen here. Sanders is out, the tight end. Coker's out again, who played a lot of slot. So Thielen's going to be the auto slot when they're in that situation. Tampa Bay blitzes. Who's the hot read? My guess is Thielen. All right. Be checking in active soon, everybody. All right, let's see what we got here. We got Jeff looking for a flex. Harrison or Connor? Ooh, that's a tough one. Enjoy your Sunday as well. Connor last week 7 for 8 on the ground, but 5 for 41 through the air. Harrison, I know, has been disappointing. It's easier to pass on Minnesota than to run on them. Now, look, Connor could score a couple goal line touchdowns and could have the day. Harrison, this is a natural upside spot for him. Connor's had bad games. Now, a few of them. 3 games at less than 12 PPR points. So Connor's the safer play. But I think Harrison's floor is good enough to make it close. And this could be the game where Harrison gets a couple big plays. It's tough to sit James Conner. If you need upside, I would more likely take the swing at Harrison in this matchup. But if you want to get a 12-point floor, I think Conner gets you there. So the floor play, high floor is Conner. If you want some variance, but you got to swing, I think Harrison is in the line to potentially have a big game here. All right. Lee, good morning. Thanks for listening to the RotoWire show. Appreciate it. Full PPR need 2. MVS, Harrison, Jennings, Conner. So I know they're on the same team. I'm going to go with Harrison and Conner. The thing about MVS, he had 87 yards. He had a broken coverage against Cleveland last week. He had the 2 for 103, I think, and 2 touchdowns the prior game. The thing is, the Rams pass rush, it comes from all over the place. And the beauty of Carr has been they roll them out. The rollouts are usually designed to go away from the best pass rusher. I don't think there's a way to avoid that here. I think they're at a disadvantage. Now, they'll use play action. The Rams are bad against play action. But I think the Rams can go into this game like putting players higher and not letting him win deep. I think they can go in with a smart game plan. So I'm going to go with my 2 Cardinals here. Defense, Bills, Texans, Bucks, or Seahawks. I'm probably going to defer to the weather here and give the Bills a shot on the West Coast team coming out there. That's the way I would tend to look at that. Let me see if there's any updates on the inactives. Commanders, we knew Marshawn Lattimore wasn't playing. Right tackle Andrew Wiley's out, but we knew that as well. Texans, you weren't playing Xavier Hutchinson. He's out. John Mechie, clear number 3 here. Even ahead of Robert Woods. I think I had Robert Woods. Foley Fotokasi, we knew he was out. Brees Hall is playing. We knew he would, but people get crazy on Wednesdays now. I'm ignoring Wednesdays now. It's kind of crazy. It's Wednesdays. Just ignore Wednesdays. So many players are sitting and everybody's freaking out. Don't forget about Wednesdays. Hall practice full. Anyway, Brees Hall is playing, so nothing to worry about there. Nothing else there. All right. And then Trevor Lawrence, as expected, is active. I'll check back those inactive. That's what I got for right now. All right. And let's see what we got here now. Lee, Irving or McConkey, both have sky-high floors. I think Irving is more likely to score a touchdown against the soft Carolina defense. Trust your gut on this one. It's razor thin close. I would give Bucky Irving the edge here. He finally outsnapped Rachaad White last week. Normally the touches were close, but it was Rachaad White getting like 61% of the snaps. And last week Irving outsnapped him. So that is trending. Delroy, Stevenson, or McNichols. I got to go with Stevenson here. When the games are close, Stevenson gets a lot of work. I expect this game to be very close between the Colts and the Patriots. McNichols will need a goal line work, but Brian Robinson is playing, and I think Brian Robinson is a goal line back. Therefore, that worries me. So I don't think that's as close as it might look. Stevenson here. Steve, when he got here. PPR need 2 flex out of Flowers, Noah Brown, Shakir, Gus, and Taysom. So I am going to go with Flowers. Flowers has a lower floor here against Philly, but among this group of players, you've got to bank on him here. He'll get enough targets to at least give you a better chance. Shakir probably has a higher floor than Taysom Hill. The weather concerns me. I think he doesn't get a lot of yards after the catch here. And so I think that if you want a basic floor play, it's Shakir. But I think if you need to get 15 points, Taysom Hill is more likely to get there than Shakir. I don't put Gus Edwards and Noah Brown. Gus should split the back of my guess is with Kamani Vidal. But the interior line is not good at run blocking. That makes this a tougher matchup for Gus Edwards. He could fall in the end zone, of course, but it's hard to predict that. John, McLaurin or Garrett Wilson, non-PPR. I would tend to go with McLaurin here. I have McLaurin at my what they see. Well, you see, I got Wilson rated significantly higher. I put him higher because he's Garrett Wilson, and it's very hard to like not unsee the big games he's capable of having. I just think the Jets are going to implode out here. I probably should have ranked Wilson lower. McLaurin, though, he's kind of been figured out, but he finds a way to get it done every week. If you're not PPR, put it this way, that's a big deal because my rankings are PPR. I think McLaurin is more likely to score a touchdown, which is why if it was my lineup, I would start McLaurin at. I don't know how many points the Jets are scoring in this game. Mike McDonald's defense has really been figuring things out the last 2 weeks. They got Ernest Jones, Murray, Russell. So I do like Murray here. I like both quarterbacks. But again, you heard me talk about it already. Murray's matchup with Minnesota. To me, the style of the matchup favors Murray's playing style. Herbert or Nix? Lee, we're going with Herbert here. Herbert, in my mind, is an elite play. I have my quarterback 4. Atlanta's good against the run. And I look, without J.K. Dobbins, I don't think that run game gets going. And I think that you can really attack Atlanta through there. Atlanta does not get a pass rush. I would be comfortable easily with Herbert. Darnold or Stafford? I like Stafford here. I like both quarterbacks. But again, with the Saints not getting much pass rush at all, Stafford is going to have time. And if Stafford gets time, man, he'll butcher your defense. And the receivers, I believe, have a massive advantage over the Saints corners, stylistically. Delroy, Leggett, or Douglas? So Tampa Bay is going to send a lot of pressure. They blitz. They love to do that. I think the more likely throws for Bryce Young this week are in the middle of the field. I think that's where you like to evade the pressure. His arm strength is a question, and I think when the blitz is coming and you're off platform, that's a problem. I don't think Demario Douglas has a high ceiling here, but I think his floor is better. So I'd give Douglas the whirl here. Stafford or Richardson, Unite Santini, yes. I think that it's a lower scoring game between the Colts and the Patriots. I think it's like 16-13, very conservative scoring. So I will go with Stafford. You heard me explain Stafford a moment ago, so I don't need to go over that again. Chris, running back in a flex. Looks like I answered this one before. I think I answered. So Rachaad White. No, I didn't answer it. All right. So I like Rachaad White and Jaylen Warren here. I think both see volume. Warren is the changeup. Has an advantage against Cincinnati's defense. So we like that. And I think Warren sees some pass catching opportunities here. I think the speedy back has the better chance against Cincy than Najee Harris. And Rashad White, again, will get enough volume in a cake matchup. They should be fine. I think both have floor and decent ceiling. And Thomas, Mayfield, Stafford, or Nix. So I got Mayfield as my quarterback 3. He's gotten it done all year. Stafford is a great play, but Mayfield just keeps getting it done. And there are games that doesn't look like he should, but he does. I can't sit Mayfield until he proves there's a reason not to. And this matchup, there is no pass rush coming from the Panthers. Like it may be the worst pass rush in the league. Damon, Connor or Rashad White? Yeah, I get it. Connor has a brutal matchup. Rashad White is a much easier matchup. I get it. I would still start Connor. Like last week, Connor 7 for 8, but he caught 5 for 41. It's like they could figure out a way to make him work. And Connor has at least 12 PPR points in all but 3 games. He had a 9.9 in there. So he very seldom will leave you stuck. So I'm going to go with Connor there, especially with White having been out snapped last week for the first time to his backfield mate, Bucky Irving. And then Pollard or James Cook. You guys know I love Pollard, but I got to go with James Cook here. Due to the field conditions, and Nick Bosa and Jordan Elliott are out, 2 good run defenders in their front four, but are out. And that Bills offensive line, it's a big line. This is a game that's perfect for them. Whether they're like big road graders, and the 49ers are like, that's not their game. I think that it's a big day on the ground for the Buffalo Bills. So I'm going to go with James Cook. All right, let's see if there's any inactive updates here. All right, the Steelers did rule out who was doubtful, Alex Highsmith. That helps Joe Burrow in the passing game. Obviously, Highsmith's a great edge rusher across from TJ Watt. That's a big deal. We knew Denzel Perryman for the Chargers was out, but their other Diane Henley is going to play with the calf injury. He was questionable. That helps him a little bit. Anything else? Nothing else there. Tyjae Spears is active against the Commanders, and it was a concussion. So Tyjae Spears probably cuts in significantly to Tony Pollard's workload. When Pollard is alone, we see him flirt with 20 carries. When Spears is there, it could be 12. That's a big difference. So Tony Pollard, we like him, but again, it's harder to break the long runs when you're not getting opportunity. So be careful there. Demario Douglas is active as we expected. And Sheldon Rankins, defensive tackle, is out for the Bengals, but they still got B.J. Hill, so there's going to be okay against the run. Seahawks, nothing of note. Vikings left tackle Cam Robinson is playing with the foot injury. We told you earlier that Trevor Lawrence is going to play. Dearness Johnson is inactive. We could see a decent workload out of Tank Bigsby here. Alec Pierce is active for the Colts, and I think we're kind of caught up right now. I think I got a super chat question, and then we can get to where are we at here? I gotta find exactly where I'm at. Oh, there we go. Then we got to get to Mark M after that. All right, super chat question. All right, what we got next? We got Shamar, Flex, Taysom, Shakir, Gus, Thielen. So I think Thielen has the highest floor of this group. Again, tight end Jatavian Sanders is out. Jalen Coker's out, who's 6'3", 208, plays big slot often. Thielen will be in the slot, and that's the best place. Tampa blitzes, hot read, slot. Thielen was targeted in the end zone and in the 2-point conversion. Interfered with on one in the end zone, and then personal foul on the 2-point conversion. He got speared with a helmet, so he couldn't hang on to the ball. But he's being used there. So I do think Thielen's your best floor play. If you got to swing for the moon, then Taysom Hill, because you know that he could score multiple touchdowns, but his floor could be way lower. Thielen has a much higher floor. But Taysom Hill, if you got to swing for the super moon, you need a huge game. None of those other guys can get that, but Hill could. All right, let's see where we're at here. All right, live questions. All right, we're on Mark now. Mark, PPR, need 2 of these. Jennings, Douglas, MVS, Gus, or Warren. So you heard me say earlier, I do like Jalen Warren. I think he's been getting more work. The matchup for him stylistically is better than the Najee matchup. So I definitely like that. Again, like you don't like Jennings in this matchup due to the weather, the arm of Purdy. all these factors. The corners, they have big corners who are very good. So it's not a great corner matchup either. Of these players, though, and you heard me kind of throw shade on MVS, I would play MVS as the second option. He's literally your number one target. He might be 3 or 4 targets. But Douglas is he's decent, and I recommended him for somebody else a moment ago. But I think I'd give MVS the edge over him in this one. They need him. God, I believe he's the number one option. That's crazy. Gus Edwards, not so much. He could fall in the end zone. Yeah, he could fall in the end zone. I'm not going to predict that, though. So I'm going to say Warren, and I'm going to go with MVS. I think before I get Max, I got another super chat here. Yeah, got another super chat. Got Ryan, Stevenson, CMC, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, pick 3. So we're going with Bucky and Mike Evans for sure. Bucky has a great matchup. He outsnapped White for the first time last week. Mike Evans, can't sit him. Of the other two, Stevenson's probably getting volume, but so is CMC. The Colts have a better chance of slowing Stevenson down than CMC getting slowed down. CMC probably catches you 5 or 6 screen passes in this. That is enough to put him over Stevenson for me here. So I would sit Stevenson of this group. Stevenson has potential here because he gets carries. We've seen him have good games, but I think your other 3 options are so good it doesn't justify it. All right, where are we at on the questions here? I think this knocked me way down the pike. Oh, I got some great spam in here. Nice. Here, give me a second here. All right, there's questions. I got to scroll up here. Just give me a minute to find these here. Yeah, sometimes it just knocks me way down the pike. Oh, my gosh. I can't even find where the questions are at. All right, here we go. I found them. Yay. Finally got back to where we were at here. All right, Max, we're on. Max, appreciate you listening to the shows with Mario and myself. Yeah, we are on Friday, too, on XM. We really enjoyed that opportunity. Standard, Marvin Harrison or Brian Thomas, very closer. I think Thomas is safer. I think Harrison could have a massive game here. But, again, we've been making excuses for him all year long. Again, you've heard me say it multiple times, the stylistic matchup for this one for Kyler, it's a big deal. Really hard to sit Brian Thomas Jr. because he has floor, he has upside, and he has his quarterback. So my head says play Brian Thomas. My heart wants to say Marvin Harrison, but it's harder to quantify. But I do think Harrison could have a monster game here. So if you feel that, play him. Otherwise, if you want to be safe, Brian Thomas will be your safe play. Jalen Warren, Etienne Edwards. I like Jalen Warren. You heard me talk about earlier. I think that the speedier guy against the Bengals is a better matchup. I think that he'll get some targets here. Overall, I think he has the ability to run on the defense. It's been hard to run on. And we've seen that change of pace guy does well, and that's kind of the reason why. Justin, Mooney, or Shakir. This is a tough one. Shakir should get 4 to 6 catches underneath. I don't know how much yardage after the catch in the sloppy field. Defense probably play things closer. Mooney, the zone that the Chargers play, it would seem like it would limit him a bit. I would give Shakir the edge here. I'm not excited about Mooney's matchup. So I see where I have Mooney on my list here. I can't quite see it. It takes me a minute. Oh, 25 for Mooney. Look, 24-25. Hilarious. Yeah, I got them right next to each other. But I would go Shakir there. Oh, you know what I need to do? I need to do that. Should have done that earlier. Okay. Move on here. I think I got another super chat, and then we got to get to JKM. All right. Chris, DFS FanDuel, pick one, Shakir, Addison, or Cooper. So I assume this is GPP. And I know he had 160 yards and it's not repeatable, but I would go with Addison here. I do think there could be a lot of points scored in this game. I do think Murray's in a great spot. Cooper, I just don't I think they're going to run a lot. I don't think there's a lot of passing volume. Shakir's ending. I think it's a low play game. I think there's a lot of draining in the clock. That would give me the lean toward Addison. All right, I got to find JKM here. There we go. Found it. All right. Oh, there you go. Darnold or Purdy. I'm going to struggle to trust Purdy in this one. Shoulder's bad. wind chill of 13, 3 to 5 inches of snow projected during the game. 90% that happens. Darnold, look, when Darnold doesn't see pressure, he's good. Arizona doesn't get pressure, so that kind of makes that one my choice. Quincy, Vidal, Debo, Jennings, or Mooney. So I did go away from Mooney in some other ones, but look, I'm struggling to trust Debo and Jennings. Debo hasn't looked good. Jennings has a bad matchup in weather. Vidal, don't know what his split's going to be, but Atlanta's decent against the run. Based on those, Mooney has a higher floor, I believe. So I would give Mooney the edge in that one. Randy, good to see you. Happy belated Thanksgiving to you as well. Appreciate that. Thoughts on Adonai Mitchell? I think there's a low scoring game. I think it's like a 16-13 game. I think the Patriots are going to play more zone than usual because there's no reason to play man. They play probably a 35% man-ish. I don't need to do that here. Not against this team. And 3 offensive line injuries. Oh, it's brutal. The right tackle's down around a third string center. Their right guard's been out for the season. They're not good. So I am not optimistic on Adonai Mitchell in this game. And I know he'll jump into the slot for Josh Downs, but he's not Josh Downs. Josh Downs is like incredible. So yeah. So that said, 3 for 20, maybe 3 for 20. That might be my projection. Cole, McConkey, or Debo Samuel. You heard me say a moment ago. Samuel's matchup's problematic, and he doesn't look right. McConkey is in a potentially strong spot here. They're going to struggle to run without J.K. Dobbins. So I think McConkey's a great play here. And I got another super chat before I get back to JKM. I can move it to here. All right, and then here. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, next one. Super chat. Harrison, Garrett Wilson, Connor. Is the OBJ in there? Or Ridley? All right. So, yeah, this is a great question. Ridley has been playing extremely well the last month. There is nothing worrisome about the matchup with Washington. I think Ridley, and we love Connor. Man, we love Connor. But Ridley is probably the safest play of this group. Connor and Harrison both have upside, but Connor's matchup is tough. And you heard me talk about it earlier. Murray against the blitzes they send, they don't always get home. He's going to be able to escape contain. And those corners from Minnesota, and they've been running Harrison on more varied routes, just not getting him the ball. They're going to need him this game. I think Harrison is your upside play. You want to swing for the fence, it's Harrison. If you want the safest play on the board, it's Ridley. All right, let's see what we got here. And all right, we're on JKM. Jennings, Dell, or Harrison. I'm going to go with Harrison here. Dell had that 100-yard game. No Nico Collins for that one. He's not – the 2 high shells are killing him. There's nowhere for him to get over the top, and he loses that part of his game and not much left. Jennings, bad weather game. Harrison Jr. I want to see how we're doing question-wise here. Let's see what we got here. I think we're okay. I got a lot of spam on here, so I think I can still take time on the answers. When we get closer to the end, I try to speed them up to get everybody answers. We check if there's any inactive stuff for a second here too as well. Nothing new. I think we're okay. All right, good deal. Get back to the questions then. All right, whoops. Rich, Josh Allen, Stafford, Carr, or Nix? I think Allen runs a lot in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if he ran for 2 touchdowns. Stafford has a real high ceiling. But if Kyron Williams gets going on the ground, he might not have to do great. So your highest floor play with good ceiling is Josh Allen, and I would not sit him. If you need massive upside, I don't know that Allen has that in this particular game. And in that case, you could consider Stafford. But I think the floor could be lower. So I would just start Josh Allen and not worry about it. Again, the weather... Dude, just run the ball. That's, that offensive line, they have a huge advantage on the 49ers defense, missing 2 defensive linemen. I got super chat that I'll get back to Kavan. All right. We've got Daniel. Full PPR flex. You need upside. Walker, Ladd, or Harrison. The Jets have not been a good run defense. There is a reasonable chance, even on the road, the Seahawks could have a lead. being the running back, we know he has a floor of touches. All three of these guys have upside. But I think Ken Walker may have the most upside because of the Jets' inability on defense. And CJ Mosley, I believe, is out. He was not expected to play. That's a big deal. I think the biggest upside play here would be Walker. Harrison's close. Harrison has real upside, but I think Walker's the only one I think that has like 3 touchdown upside. He's your biggest upside play here. All right. See where we're at here. Come on. Sutton or Marvin Harrison Jr. Sutton's been great for a month. Cleveland blows a lot of coverages downfield, and Sutton's been getting some downfield work. That said, I think it's a lower scoring game. I think Harrison Jr. is in a higher scoring game. Sutton's safer. Sutton is safer. Sutton has a very strong floor. If you're happy with the floor, go with Sutton. I think Harrison Jr. could have a game here. You heard me explain it 5 times already, so I'm not going to go over it again. I think Harrison Jr. has, if you need a big upside, Harrison Jr. in this game has it, but Sutton is way safer, and he has a reasonable ceiling. Ken, we're going with Pickens here. Cincinnati has not been good against downfield receivers, and we know Russell Wilson throws downfield out play action, and Bengals struggle on that. And I believe there's going to be points scored in this game. McCaffrey and the elements, I don't know how much room the run is, and he hasn't been looking great. I would go with Pickens there. Need a receiver and a flex, non-PPR. McLaurin, Jennings, Smith and Jigba, Edwards, Debo. I would use McLaurin in here. His chance of scoring a touchdown. I know he's been down lately. I get it, but he finds a way to get it done, right? I probably would make my second call on this, Smith and Jigba. I just don't think Gus Edwards is a good matchup. Interior line is bad in terms of getting run push, and the Falcons are decent against the run. Projecting a touchdown's tough because he might not get it. Justin Herbert might take it in himself. So I would just go with JSN. Debo again, Jennings. You heard me talk about this game. I'm just not very excited about this. Oh, I saw Joe's in the house. Good morning, everybody, as well. You got a question in a minute? Let's see. All right, I got caught up on the super chat. We're caught up there. Gino or Purdy? I have Purdy ranked significantly higher, but the weather is a real problem. And his shoulder is a real problem. The floor could be catastrophic. So I will go with Gino for that reason. It's my line. The downside scares me. I have him ranked higher, but that downside tag means a lot to me. And it's more I settle in on this weather, it's a problem. Yeah, Joe, I was telling people earlier, and you probably heard this answer already. I think Allen's going to run more. That's all. I think he runs, so I think he mitigates a lot. And the more higher chance of scoring a rushing touchdown. So yeah, I have him as my quarterback 5. There's downside, but his downside pushes him to what? Quarterback 9. That's the downside. So yeah, I feel fine. If you had, obviously you're not going to have Jalen Hurts too. So yeah, I would go with Allen. He'll run for enough, I would believe. Jose, rank your team. Ranking a team is tough to do. I can't really rank a team. If you need a lineup question, I'll answer it for you, but I really can't get everybody's question and do that, Jose. I'm sorry. You could hit me up at Jim Coventry NFL on the X. I could do that when I'm not doing the starts. But just give me a lineup question, Jose, and I'll answer. Just tell me this or that, and I'll give you that. Chris, Jaden Daniels or Anthony. I'm going to go Jaden Daniels. Look, Richardson, I expect a low-scoring game. Jaden Daniels, I have him 3 spots higher, but I don't have the downside. He has a higher floor. All right. Khalil, Shakir, Najee Harris, Pittman, PPR. Pittman will see a good deal of Anthony Gonzalez. They'll be in some zone, but it'll still be not great. Najee, this is not a great matchup for him. I think Shakir catches enough over the middle to put him over the top on these 3. If you got a gut feel on Pittman, trust it. I would go with Shakir here. I will go with Murray here, Justin. Murray, again, you heard me talk about the matchup with Minnesota. I feel that works to his advantage. C-Dog, DK, Terry, McLaurin, Juwan. I'm going to sit Juwan Jennings because of Purdy's shoulder and the weather conditions and the big outside corners who match up well with him. Galactic. Pickens or Stevenson. Pickens again. Stevenson might get a lot of volume here, but this is a great matchup for Pickens. Pickens tore his team up. Remember, like 170 yards with Mason Rudolph last year. But yeah, this is a great matchup for Pickens. Look, Stevenson's going to get volume, but Pickens does fine in most games. So yeah, this matchup's great. I'm not going to sit him. Trone Force, McLaurin or JSN, PPR. So that said, I would probably go with JSN for PPR. McLaurin, again, he had the 86-yard touchdown against Dallas, the flukiest of fluke plays. That's not repeatable. If that play is out, he has less than 30 yards in 3 of the last 4 games. The one game he had 2 catches, like 17 yards, 19 yards, and 2 touchdowns. It's just not working well. And JSN, he should get plenty of catches. And to me, it gives him a higher floor. But yeah, and in terms of McLaurin's matchup, Tennessee, the corners don't scare me, but the overall scheme is good. They've been limiting receivers, but I'm going to go JSN there. All right, let's see what else we got here. Harrison or Higgins? Well, this is tough because Higgins is seeing more targets than Jamar Chase. And Alex Highsmith is out, great edge rusher. That really slows down the pass rush a bit for Pittsburgh. I'm going to give Higgins the edge here, realizing that Harrison has potential for real big upside, but Higgins has been gold when he's been healthy this year. And I don't think based on that, we could sit him. If you feel a gut call on Harrison, trust it, but Higgins has been a massive part of this offense. Quincy, Valdes-Scantling, Debo, or Jennings. I will go with Valdes-Scantling and Debo here. Jennings is an outside receiver with Purdy's shoulder and the elements. That's the most concerning. James, Otten or Goddard? Goddard has an actual good matchup here. We're not expecting Devontae Smith to play. So therefore, I think Goddard could see accelerated targets, and Baltimore is like a bottom 10-ish tight end defending unit. I'd give Goddard the edge. I don't know how much Otten needs to see the ball today. Geno or Anthony Richardson? I'm giving Richardson the edge here. When Geno's not in garbage time, his fantasy numbers are weird. Richardson should run for enough to put him above Geno. Donzo, win and in. Nervous about Brees. Don't be. He's fine. He said he was full practice on Friday. I had nothing to worry about. I mean, Brees hasn't been great. He hasn't been great. Brian Thomas Jr., there's only so much upside. He has a high floor. Marvin Harrison, I think he could have a game. But I think Allen has the most stable floor of this group. But if you got to swing for massive upside, I don't think Allen has a 31-point a game like he had last time out. So if you need massive upside, then you might go Harrison. But I think otherwise, Allen would be your play. He's fine. He full practice Friday. Oh, Gary faced Jonnu and Reed. And sorry, yeah, she played Richardson, Taylor Stack, Allen Taylor, or Herbert Taylor. I would be inclined to go with Herbert and Taylor. I don't think Atlanta is going to be able to slow the passing game down. I think it's going to be hard for the Chargers to run. I think they're going to have to pass here, and Herbert will run for his own too. So I'm going to give Herbert and Taylor the edge in this one. Let me see if there's any other injury updates here. No, I don't have anything else. All right. Sleek, good morning to you. Pick 3, Adams, Pollard, Metcalf, Ridley. I'm going to go with Metcalf and Ridley. They both should have solid roles in their offensive plane. I'm not worried about the Jets corners. They aren't playing at the same level they were in the past, especially Sauce. Pollard, it gets a little tricky with Pollard because Tyjae Spears is playing, so Pollard probably gets closer to 12 carries than the 18 we get out of him. Adams, other than that one broken play on a 4th down they had against Houston where they were trying to defend the sticks and he just ran a go route and he got a touchdown, he hasn't been good. Pollard has more bankable volume, even if it's 12 carries, more likely to score a touchdown. I would give Pollard the slight edge over Adams. I don't think this is a great matchup for Aaron Rodgers. I think Adams potentially has more upside, but I wouldn't put any strong stock in that. I would just go with Pollard probably. But if you have to swing for, I don't think Pollard has a big game here, but I think his floor is better. Lee, PPR flex, Irving or McConkey. Both are excellent plays. Both should be heavily involved. Irving had more snaps last week than Rachaad White. I would probably give Irving the edge. He's been playing at a super high level, and his matchup is super soft. But trust your gut on that one. It's super close. Giles, good morning. Chuba or Kenneth Walker? Yeah, that's a tough one too. The Bucks are not bad against run. They're not elite, but they're good. Kenneth Walker is facing a Jesse, not good against the run. I don't think the Jets are, again, since Robert Saleh walked out, their heart's gone. And I would be inclined to go with Kenneth Walker here. The matchup is great, whereas Hubbard's matchup is not great. Both great plays, but I would give Walker the edge here. Fantasy Bro, happy Sunday. I would go with Chuba. Oh, tight end premium. Philly's been good against tight ends. I think Andrews is a boomer bust play. He gets down the seam and he breaks one. He definitely could find the end zone. Chuba's way safer. Chuba's going to get you to 15 touches, has a chance of scoring. Yeah, I mean, Chuba's just hard to sit here. Andrews hasn't had massive games. The tight end premium, it's not like he's getting 10 targets. I think Isaiah likely gets an increase in targets in this game because Charlie Kohler is out, but I think that's going to be a little different when the pressure comes. I think the screens, the likely might be an occurrence. It's a great question. I would lean Hubbard. Sam, full PPR pick to Irving, Cook, Aaron. Oh, wow. Good problem to have. Look, James Cook against 49ers team bad against the run. They're down their defensive end, Bosa, their defensive tackle, Elliott. I think they're going to run a ton, and the big line's going to just road grade them. I'd go with James Cook. Aaron Jones and Irving are close. I think Aaron Jones gets more volume. I think as a receiver, he has a real chance of carving up Arizona. I'm going to go with the two players with the more stable roles, and Cook, the weather elements, I think are to his advantage. Reluctantly sitting Irving, but knowing I've got to play these stars because there's no reason to sit them. McLaurin or Wilson? I'm going to go with Terry McLaurin here. Where do I probably got Wilson ranked higher. Again, I got Wilson marked with downside, and I got McLaurin marked with downside. They're close in the rankings. I ranked Garrett Wilson too high here. I ranked him too high. I need to move him lower. Let me just make that change right now. I'm going to move him down these. I should have moved him down these rankings a little earlier. I'm going to move him down to. I'm going to move him right with Devontae. Yeah, let's make that move right now. I can't put him ahead of McConkey either, so I got to put McConkey up ahead of him. So while we're doing this right now, as we think this back through, let's just do this, and then we'll just call Wilson and Adams a tie. Put them right there. So, I'm glad you asked that question. I figured out Terry McLaurin, you got to go with him. He's, like I said, the play was fluke last week, but he finds a way to get it done every week. The Jets, I just don't see him coming out of the bye with any heart. And Seattle, with the simulated pressures, as soon as Rodgers sees pressures, he's ducking. So I can't trust him to move the passing game. And coming out of the bye, they're going to be probably worse mentally than they were. So great question. Sleek in a standard, DK, Devontae, and Brian Robinson. I'm going to sit Devontae there. Again, you just heard me say it. I do not trust Aaron Rodgers in that offense right now. David Grant, you tune to PPR, McCaffrey, Irving, Kamara, Connor. Kamara's tough to sit. They're coming off a bye. They will get him involved as a runner and a receiver. I think that bye is a perfect time for him, too. The Rams are not an oppressive run defense. And Connor and Irving are close. Irving's matchup is great. Connor's matchup is very difficult. Connor should get more volume. McCaffrey could catch you 5 or 6 passes. So I would say this. I would start Kamara. The highest floor of the remaining guys is McCaffrey. Highest ceiling. This isn't a ceiling game for Connor. I don't see it as a ceiling game for Connor. Irving could have ceiling, but in a shared backfield, that's enough to make me say McCaffrey. I'm going to go Kamara and McCaffrey. MVS, Coleman, or Leggett. I'm going to go with MVS. In the Buffalo game, I'm really struggling trusting the outside receivers. I just think that there's not going to be the reason to throw a lot in that game. Leggett, Tampa's going to send the Todd Bowles blitzes, and that means a lot of the hot reads are going to be middle of the field. And Bryce Young off platform, I don't really like that for his lack of arm strength. It makes it a little worse. Kobe, good morning to you as well. 204, Metcalf, McLaurin, Ridley, Jennings. I like Metcalf and Ridley here. You've heard me explain most of these other players multiple times, but I think Metcalf and Ridley both have the best blend of floor and ceiling. Delroy, good morning to you as well. Full PPR, Herbert or Daniels. I'm going to go with Justin Herbert here. Again, I think they struggle to run the ball in Atlanta. They can pass. Atlanta doesn't get pass rush, and that's huge for Justin Herbert. Let me make sure I don't have any super chat before I get to my next one. I think I got one here. Yeah, I got it. I might have missed this one. George, if I didn't answer this earlier, I'm sorry. I see it now. It's always tiny in the corner of my screen. Full PPR, Pittman or Darnell Mooney? I think Pittman sees his fair share of Christian Gonzalez. I think they play a lot of zone as opposed to normal. The Patriots will play man, but I think in this game they play a lot of zone. I think Mooney, I don't like Mooney's matchup, but I think he catches enough passes to give him a higher floor than Pittman. I think it's a real low volume game with Indianapolis and New England. I think that Mooney could be in a shootout. I don't think Mooney has a lot of upside in this game, but I think his floor is better than Pittman, so I will go with him there. Sorry, it took me a few minutes to answer that. Super Chef, it goes to 16. I'll have to click that from. Probably forgot the number where I was on. All right, let's see where we're at here. We're on Petty. All right, start 2 running backs, a receiver, and a flex. Taylor, Brees, Bucky, London, Sutton, Marvin. Projected to win by 20. Need safety. Okay, so Brees Hall is in. He's practiced full on Friday. Can't sit him. Nothing oppressive about the matchup. We're playing Drake London. Plays about 35, 40% in the slot. Look, Chargers missing left corner Cam Hart, free safety and Aloe Gilman. They don't get interior pressure much. Trust London there. You need one more running back from this. So, you need a flex. You need 2 running backs. All right. So, I would play Bucky over Taylor. I hate to say it, but Taylor's down the right tackle, 3rd string center. The right guard's been out. Their run blocking has just drastically fallen off. Christian Barmore's back for New England. Taylor's been terrible for fantasy last couple weeks. I'm going to give Bucky Irving the role there. And then your last one. So you're up by 20. Sutton is safer than Marv. I think Marv has great upside, but Sutton is safer. Sutton's gotten it done like for 5 straight games, and Cleveland blows a lot of coverages. So Sutton would be your safe play. Sagar, good morning. Oh man, top of my head, not sure on that one. I'd have to go to different documents to check what I played. I'm trying to think through. Let me hit the schedule real quick and just see what I thought here. I'm mostly focused on fantasy for Sundays. I put in some same game parlays. Marvin Harrison over the receiving yardage. I like that prop. I think he has a game here. Trying to see what Adam Thielen over the receiving yardage. I like that. Those are the main ones I'm looking at. All right. Emiliano. Oh, man, that's a great question. So Kyron Williams is in this situation where they could run the ball or pass the ball in New Orleans. New Orleans can't stop the run. They don't match up well with the passing game. If they get a lead, he might be heavily involved. But if they get too big of a lead, he could get pulled. Mike Evans is a great match, but it's kind of the same thing. If they get a lead on Carolina, which they may or may not, divisional game, maybe they don't need him a lot. I would be more inclined to trust Evans in this one because Baker Mayfield really has a connection with no Chris Godwin. He is just such the guy. So I would tend to go with Mike Evans, but you can't go wrong with either one. Trust your gut on that one. Next one, Impossible, half PPR, 2, 2, and 1. So need 5 of these. Jefferson's in. Cook is in. Kyron's in. Even though I have Chase Brown with upside, with downside, I still think the volume role is impossible to pass up, and he'll catch some passes. Oh, your name Impossible. Very nice. So far we got Jefferson at a receiver. Your 2 running backs and your flexes are Cook, Kyron, and Chase Brown. You need one more wide receiver. So Smith and Jigba has a higher floor, but Flowers has the boom bust. If you need to swing for real upside, Flowers could get it, but it's a tough matchup, whereas Smith and Jigba should have a high floor of catches. All right. Ian, Good morning to you. Would I sit Jennings with the weather for Bateman? Oh, man, that's tough. That's tough. Bateman is my wide receiver 41. Where do I even have? Trying to see where I have. I'm seeing when I move down. Jennings to 31. I just don't know how much they throw the ball here. But Bateman doesn't have a good matchup at all. I would probably give Bateman the edge here. Again, Buffalo has two big corners. That matches up well with Jennings. Purdy has the shoulder issue, 13-degree wind chill, 3 to 5 inches. Yeah, I'd go with Bateman probably. That's a tough one. I think I answered that for Patty already. Maybe I was down further. All right. Herber. Flex spot. Judy or Hawkinson? I'm going to go with Hawkinson here. Judy plays 62% outside. I think Patrick Surtain will travel. He travels. And they're not going to travel Elijah Moore. And Cedric Tillman's out. And that pass rush is going to be a problem for Winston. I'll give Hawkinson the edge here. Ray, who do you bench? I'm benching Taylor. You heard me say it a moment ago. They're down. Their right tackle, Braden Smith's out. They're down to a third-string center. Bordelino's out, who is backing up Kelly. Their right guard's been out forever, Will Freeze. And it's been a real problem. So I would bench Taylor out of that group. Harrison, Metcalf, or Jordan Addison, who you need to start one. The highest floor play of this is Metcalf. Not worried. Sauce Gardner's not playing at the same level he was. And again, coming out of the bye, I don't think much of the Jets. The Jets have been out of it emotionally. I think Harrison's your swing for defense play. The matchup against Minnesota, Murray gets outside a bit, I think, and I think it's possible he goes off. But again, Harrison's disappointed us all year. Floor play is Metcalf. If you want to go swing for upside, I do think Metcalf. I think Harrison has that upside if that's what you're going for. Next one, half PPR, pick one. Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, Connor, or Ridley. So Ridley's a great play here. He's been playing extremely well the last month. It's always hard to sit a running back in this flex because of the potential volume. It's a bad matchup for Connor. But Connor can get it done as a receiver. He can always score a touchdown. He'll get 12 to 15 touches in this game. But and Harrison, as you hear me say, has a bunch of upside. But Ridley's been getting it done. And where do I have Ridley in my rankings? I got him pretty high. I got my wide receiver 15. Sandstrom's been good at corner, but Ridley's been playing extremely well. And it's not like he'll be locked up on him all day anyway. I would tend to give Ridley the edge here. But if your gut says Connor, trust it. Because even with a bad matchup, Connor has proven he can get it done in many different ways. Dragonfire, Noid, Gus Edwards, or Travis Nick Chubb. Oh, man. You guys know I love Nick Chubb. But Chubb, look, he hasn't had 60 yards in a game. Denver's been a great run defense. The offensive line, they have their names back for Cleveland, but they're not blocking well. Chubb isn't catching any passes. Gus Edwards, the interior line is not good for the Chargers for run blocking. The tackles are good, and Edwards is an interior runner. But ETN has been garbage all year, and now Bigsby's healthy. So I think all that said, I'll give Chubb the world. I think Chubb has the best chance of scoring a touchdown of this trio, so I'll go with him. The PPR for ETN, he's not even doing much there. So, all right. Daniel, can't go wrong here. I got Baker as my quarterback 3, and I got Herbert as my quarterback 4. It is coin flip area. If you want a tiebreaker, which it really 3-4 is really a tie, I think it's more likely that Herbert has to throw than Mayfield because there's a chance that the Bucs get a lead, and if they decide to run the ball, then that might lower Mayfield. Where I think Herbert may have to throw regardless. So if you need a tiebreaker on that might be it. But I do have Mayfield ranked a spot higher. Mayfield's been insane. Beautiful year. Eric, Flowers or Njigba? I'm going to go Flowers here. Flowers has downside, but I think his floor is similar to Smith and Jigba's here. Not a great matchup for Flowers, but I think this game could be. There's many ways it could go. There could be a moderate scoring game, but I think this game ends up getting points scored. I think both teams are going to have to. They both feel the desperation. They both got to have this win. So I think Flowers has more ceiling than Smith and Jigba. For that reason, I'll go with him. All right. We've got Brian. What's up? And Burrow or Daniels. I have Burrow as my 6 and Daniels as my 8. Alex Highsmith being out for Pittsburgh makes a difference because that double edge pressure. Now it's like TJ Watt. And I know they have other rushers that can contribute, but really Highsmith is a big deal. So I think they can roll out Burrow away from Watt a little bit more. They could use more double teams. So I'm going to go with Burrow here. I think he's going to score some, going to light up some score boards here with Chase and Higgins. His corners really don't match up well with them. So Daniels might be in a lower scoring game too. All right, where are we at here? Chris, this one I might go with Otten. Hunter Henry, I don't think the Patriots are going to chase points. I actually think they could win this game. And if it's super low scoring, they may not have to. They throw too many passes to the backup tight end too. Now, why am I forgetting? Is it Hooper, Austin Hooper? I think it is. Throwing too many passes to them too. I'm going to go with Otten. Otten should get you 6 targets here, and Henry may not get there. So I'll go with Otten. Jay, appreciate you. Thank you for recommending hit the like and subscribe button. By the way, like 7:45 Eastern between like the late afternoon games and the early evening, I do a reaction show on here. I go over my reactions to the day. So if you got time between games and you want to check it out, definitely catch you then. Join me then. Monday morning on with Anthony Servino in the morning. We do a little waiver wire, more reactions. But yeah, we're on the channel throughout the week. I got another super chat, and then we got to get back to here we go. There you go. Find another super chat here. OG Bobby. Yep. Yes. PPR. I'm going to go Garrett Wilson here. Jawan Jennings, like I said, Purdy's got the shoulder, 13 degree wind chill, 3 to 5 inches of snow on the field projected during game time. I just think, and then the big outside corners who match up well with Jennings. I think there's too many negatives. Garrett Wilson, look, at Jets are a mess, but I would give Wilson the edge here. I think at least Wilson has upside. I don't think Jennings has real upside here. All right, see where we're at here. I found it. All right, let's see how we're doing question-wise here too. All right. I think we're at the point where I've probably described most of your players' situations. So I think we're at the point now where I can give you a speedier answer. I make sure I get everybody answered. Just got to find where I left the last click off. There we go. I found it. All right, so we'll do a little more speedy here. We're going with Josh Allen. He should run even if it's snowy, so he should be fine there. Kobe, thank you. Emiliano. I may have answered this already. I'd go Mike Evans. It's close. Trust your gut on that one. Can't go wrong either way, but I think Mike Evans. London, Thomas Jr., Pickens. I'm going to sit Brian Thomas Jr. in this one. London and Pickens are elite players, and there's nothing that scares me about either of their matchups. And I know the Chargers are good, but they have injuries. Ridley or Marvin Harrison Jr. Ridley has a higher floor. Harrison Jr. has the potential for a breakout game here. So if you want to swing for upside, it's Harrison Jr. If you want the high floor play, it's Ridley, because we've seen Harrison let us down many times this year already. KJ Frederick. Taysom. Will. What am I missing? Will. Maybe Menhill. Maybe Taysom. Or Kadon. So I'm going to go with Taysom here. I don't know how many targets Otten has to see, and I think Taysom will be a big part of the game plan. Wow. Brees or Kenneth Walker. I got Kenneth Walker ranked higher. The Jets have not been good against the run. I think they don't have any heart left. I think they're done. Both could have big games. I think Walker has a higher floor. So based on that, I'll give him the edge. Trust your gut on that one. Trust your gut. David Moore, Noah Brown, Calvin Austin. Oh, wow. I'd probably go Noah Brown here. David Moore had 100 yards last week. This week, they're going to see a lot of blitzes from Todd Bowles. And I think where Bryce Young gets it out is the middle of the field. That's going to be a lot of Adam Thielen dumping to his running back. I don't know if the outside receiver gets going here. It was really It really worked out last week. The Chiefs can't cover outside right now. I'd give Noah Brown the edge here. I guess your boom bust play would be David Moore. That'd be your boom bust play. If you want to swing for possible upside that he could repeat that'd be your boom bust play. I think Noah Brown has a pretty good floor in this game against Tennessee. He's been getting targets. Of course, the floor is 0. So Calvin Austin had 2 big games in the last 4. It's just hard to know when those are coming. And so it's just very hard to predict Calvin Austin because his role is not consistent in any way. Justin Cook or Lund. Wow. They both are great. Um, I'm probably more inclined with PPR to go London. I think London catches you 7 passes here, and that makes a difference. Cook could have a massive game, so could London. I think with the PPR, London gives me the edge. They're both outstanding plays. I would really trust my gut if you feel one has an edge over the other. They're that close. Then goes one. They lost Sheldon Rankins. BJ Hill is supposed to play. I'll double check that. I will double check that. But I think BJ Hill is playing. But I will check that because that is important. But I think we expected BJ Hill on the field. Depth charts. Give me a second. The RotoWire site's amazing. Check out RotoWire for free. RotoWire.com/Jim. 2 days, no credit card needed. You can check that out. If you like it, join the team. If not, we're just glad to stop by. Yeah, BJ Hill's starting. They only lost one defender. Logan Wilson's an outside linebacker. He's better in pass support than he is as a run defender. So, yeah, they're just missing one run stopper. Logan Wilson can contribute to the run, but I just don't think with Pittsburgh's rushing attack, I don't think that's an issue because they run the 2 tight end offense, and they would kind of blow him up anyway. So, not a problem there. Tank Dell or Nico Collins. I got to go Nico Collins. Tank Dell is just too highs are killing him. Start Cook going to be what? Oh, McCoy. Oh, I got you. Cook's a strong play this week. You need 2. Robinson, Ridley, and Connor. I'm going Ridley and Connor. Connor has a bad matchup, but Connor is going to you can see it in the receiving game. Robinson does not have a great matchup. Tennessee's been a solid defense, so I'll go that way. London, Mooney in the dome, Jennings, Debo in the snow. Given the choices, London and Mooney should be more scoring. Sutton or Ramondre for flex. Appreciate you, Rory. Ramondre, this is one of those games where you could get 18 to 20 carries because it should be close. Sutton's been great for over a month. Cleveland's corners consistently blow coverages. Ramondre has a super high safe floor in this particular game, I believe. But Sutton has a similar floor with the PPR, and he has some upside. I'd be inclined to give Sutton like a real slight edge, but if your gut says Ramondre, I get it. I totally get it. Oh, let me see if I got a super chat. Hang on. I do. Hang on. All right. We got Jordan next. Good morning. Full PPR. McConkey. So I'm going to go McConkey here. MVS not getting a lot of targets. He had the blown coverage against Cleveland for the long touchdown. He had another blown coverage the week prior. Those aren't going to run out. And I think the Rams having a good passers across the board, when they roll out Carr, I don't think you can roll them away from pressure. I think you're rolling them into pressure either side. So I think those rollouts, then play action works his way because the Rams aren't great against plays, but I think they can go in kind of looking at that because they don't have many receivers to worry about. I'm going to go McConkey. I think McConkey has a super high floor here. Should be a great matchup for him, too. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, you've got Marvin Harrison, Garrett Wilson, Connor. I think I answered that already, didn't I? Ridley for floor and Marvin Harrison for upside. I'm going to go Rashad White here. I know he saw less snaps last week than Bucky, but it's a great matchup. I'm going to go with him for higher floor. Not sure, Jeff. No, I didn't see this one. Pollard, Bucky, or Chase Brown. I'm going to reluctantly sit Pollard here. In the rankings, I got Pollard ahead of Irving, but Tyjae Spears is active. Wasn't sure if he was, and he's going to cut into the workload. So that's enough for me to say Bucky will get probably as much work as Pollard, and his matchup is better. And then Chase Brown, look, he has downside, but he's going to be on the field all the time, so there's that. Hawkinson over Judy. We'll go quick on these. Got 15 minutes. We got everybody done. We're going Herbert over Daniels. Vinny, good morning. Happy holidays to you. I'm going to go with London. I think London has floor and ceiling here. McBride's impossible to sit because he just gets so many darn targets. And, Hill obviously has that massive upside, but I think McBride's floor is higher, so we trust him. Shamar, if you have to drop a good player, then just play Shakir. But if you have the player to drop, I think Thielen has the best floor ceiling upside here due to his matchup. Robinson or Garrett Wilson. This is tough. I probably give Brian Robinson a higher floor, But the boom bust play, if you got to swing for ceiling, Wilson always has a potential for a ceiling game, but the matchup may not be great. But if you got to swing for defenses, Wilson, if you want a nice high floor, go with Robinson. I would play Murray over Bo Nix. I like the matchup for Murray. I think he can evade that blitz. I would go with Brian Thomas over Zay Flowers here. Flowers is a tougher matchup, and Brian Thomas Jr., he has his quarterback back, so that certainly helps him a bit. So I would go that route. Jennings, Harrison, Gus. I would go with Harrison in this one. You heard me talk about earlier about Jennings' matchup. Not excited about that. Gus's interior line, a problem. I would go with that. Next one, London, Irving, or JT. I'm going to go with London here. London should get you 7 catches or so. I love Irving, but it's really hard to sit a player that has the ability to go for, 9 catches, 150 and 2 touchdowns. London could do that. And I'm not, again, he plays a lot in the slot. This matchup doesn't scare me. I know the Chargers have been great, but yeah, not so much. TG, Baker or Herbert. You see, I got them both side by side in my rankings. They both can run it in. They both have done it this year. So I have them equal. So I would go with Mayfield, but Herbert might have more upside. So if you want to swing for upside, then might be Herbert. Chelsea, good morning to you. Full PPR, Mayfield, and it's good. Same people have the great minds thinking alike. And you just heard me say that. So it's the same thing. I got Mayfield ranked slightly ahead. They're 3-4. I think Herbert has a tick more upside. Mayfield has a higher floor. So you can't go wrong either way. If you want upside, Herbert. If you want the high floor, Mayfield. Goddard or Njoku. I would be inclined. All right, so here you go with this one. The late kickoff on the Goddard game, like 4:25 Eastern. If Devontae Smith is expected as inactive, I play Goddard. If Devontae Smith is active, then I go to Njoku for the Monday night game. That's the way I would do that. Flex Addison, Edwards, or flex a tight end. I go to Addison. Addison's been good in the red zone. Not going to have last week's game. But Gus, the interior running is going to be a problem for him in this one. Let me make sure I got the super chat caught up. Yep, got it. All right, let me see on questions how we're doing here. Yeah, I gotta get through these quick so I get everybody done. We'll get you done. All right. Jonathan, full PPR, CMC or Ken Walker? I think Ken Walker has a higher floor ceiling ratio in this game, so I would go with Ken Walker. And if you have to swing for extreme upside, yes, but McBride has upside. I would tend not to because McBride's floor is way safer. Trust your gut. Dave. 100%, Dave, 100%. Chelsea, another league. Cook, Hubbard, or Pickens? You just need one of those. I think this is a great game for Cook. That big line is going to bully around the 49ers who are missing Bosa and Jordan Elliott. They're all great plays. I think Cook has a game here. Pickens has great upside as well. Hubbard's the one that doesn't have the upside of the other two. But I think Cook has a higher floor than Pickens. I think we answered that one for you already. We went with Evans on that one. Oh, gotcha. We're going with Kyler over Bo Nix, and we're going with Devontae Adams over Gus Edwards. I've got Hurts as my 2, Baker Mayfield is my 3. Hard to go wrong there. I'm going to give Hurts the edge because they both can run it in, but Hurts has a better chance of getting your rushing touchdowns. And I think in this game, Hurts may have to run more than usual. Yeah, not worried. Baker, not so. No, I saw it's 50 degrees in Carolina. Hold on. I think it's 50 degrees in Carolina. I gotta check this for everybody real quick. We got a second to check. NFL weather. Carolina, where are we at? Carolina is 49 degrees, 8-mile-an-hour winds. I don't think you have to worry about 8 degrees in Carolina. Maybe 8 degrees of separation, but not 8 degrees of temperature. Gus Bus or Rashad White? Rashad White in that one. Morning. Next one, Marv TS. I'm going with Taysom Hill there. Again, I'm just giving you the answers now because we got 10 minutes. I get everybody done. 88 Ray just had the same question from somebody else. I have him 2-3 in my rankings. Hurts is slightly ahead, so I'm just going to go that, but you can't go wrong either way. They're great options. All right, let's see what we got here. Yeah, Ryan Stevenson. We'll sit Stevenson in this one, even though he's going to get some volume here. CMC probably catches 5 or 6. Oh, you're half PPR. Still going to play CMC there. We'll sit Stevenson as one. Nancy, Standard, Metcalf, Dell. Thank you for that. And I may have answered, so maybe you missed it. I'm going Metcalf for sure. Dell's ceiling is too low. Kickers I don't do because they require luck, and I have 0 luck. So you don't want me to answer a luck-based question. But for kickers, look at the over and under on a game. If a team's playing in a better weather venue or indoors, use those as tiebreakers. But I can't do kickers because I'll get you wrong every time. Jason, Richardson or Purdy? I gotta go Richardson. Purdy shoulder, the weather, can't trust him. Going with Herbert over Daniels, and we're going with McBride over Taysom. We are going with Pittman and Cooper. No, Pittman and Stevenson. Pittman and Stevenson. The floors are better for both of them in this one. I'm worried about the weather in the other game. Pollard. I'm going Connor over Pollard. I think that Spears in that cuts Pollard's volume down too much. Let me make sure I don't have any more super chats here. No, I got it. All right, we're getting to the end. We got about 9 minutes left, but I'll get everybody's questions done. All right, let's see. I missed somebody here? All right, if I missed, I got a few questions left here. So, all right, John, Stroud or Stafford? Got to go with Stafford here. Stafford's they don't get Saints don't get much pressure, and that helps Stafford a lot. Laura and Jim Cooperman and PPR Pickens, Harrison, Metcalf, Cooper, Quentin Johnson. So you need 3. Go with your first 3. Pickens, Harrison, and Metcalf. Cooper's the weather's an issue. Johnston, his hands are an issue. Tight end. Trust your gut on the tight end. It's so hard to say not because the middle of the field should be okay. It's the perimeter I'm worried about. So I'll say Kittle here because Disley isn't good enough in case Kittle breaks one. Trust your gut on that, though. Ken, I'd be inclined to go with Pickens. McCaffrey has a safer floor, but I think Pickens has a decent floor and a better ceiling. Oh, man. I'm going to go with QJ here. I think the blitz will force Bryce Young to throw it inside more. Harrison or Connor? Yeah, somebody else had this question. It's a great question. I think Harrison has a higher ceiling in this one. I think Connor has a higher floor. So if you want to bank about 12 PPR points and call it a day, it's Connor. If you need a big game, Harrison is in line where this game could break it. He could have a maximum, but he could also, we've seen him disappoint us all year. So floor plays Connor, boom, bust plays Harrison. I'll defer to the weather and we'll go with the Bills. We're going with Herbert over Daniels. I think I answered that for you already. Michael, you know what? The Denver's good against tight ends, and I think the passers going to be a problem. I'm going to go with Taysom Hill there. Nathan, happy Sunday. You got a flex between McLaurin and Connor. I'm going to give Connor the edge here. I think Connor has an equal floor, but maybe a little more ceiling. C. Faulkner, half PPR, JSN, Pittman, or Najee. I would sit Pittman in this one. I think he sees enough of Anthony Gonzalez to kind of make his day tough. Dave, I don't know a super chat. Super chat is where people pay for questions, and I don't know how to do that. Google it, and they'll tell you. I have no idea how to do any of that, but people here know. They just must know. Google it. It'll tell you what it is. Hockenson is way safer, but Taysom has bigger upside. So if you got to swing for the fence, go Taysom. But if you want a nice high floor, probably 10 to 12 PPR points, then I think you go at Hawk. All right, let's see what we got here. CJ Stroud or Knicks? Oh, that's close. Jessica Alba, you're famous. We're going to go Bo Nix there. Stroud just has not been getting it done consistently, and I don't know how much he needs to do in this game. Nix will definitely run for something here. Ingram, I got to go with Ingram here. He's got his quarterback back. That'll help him. Henry, they might not need to throw a lot in this game. All right, then we got some spam here. We're going with Herbert. Herbert's an elite option this week. Darnold has a good game, but Herbert's an elite option here. Ryan, Evans, Walker, Jones, Irving, start 2. Got to go with Evans. Man, these 3 are so close. I have Kenneth Walker ranked ahead of the rest. I'm going to give Kenneth Walker the edge. The Jets are not good against the run. Walker, Brown, and Hall pick 2. Oh, wow. It's tough. Walker and Chase Brown are the highest floor plays. Walker's in for sure. If you got to go boom bust, because I don't think Chase Brown is a ceiling game here. If you got to swing for the fence, then play Hall over Brown. I think Brown's floor is higher, especially with the receiving game. Sutton or Pickens. I'm going with Pickens here. Pickens matchup is too good. And then you got Evans and Nico Collins, so you're set there. Excellent call, TG. Brian Robinson, an option. Okay, I don't see your question, though. Oh, it's up here. I answered it already. I don't understand. If I didn't answer your question, re-ask it, lay it straight out for me, and I'll answer it for you. Pedro, Addison over Debo. I would. I just don't think Debo's going to have any room, and he hasn't looked good the last 2 weeks. And Emiliano, you've asked that about 5 times, so I think we're good. David, all right, thanks for subscribing to RotoWire. 2 receivers and a flex. Evans, Robinson, Higgins, Drake, London. If you're leaning Robinson, you go with Robinson. I love all 3 receivers here. I think they all have potential for great games. Higgins gets more targets than Chase usually. So there's that. London to me is an auto start, but you trust your gut. I'd start the 3 receivers. You trust your gut. You need for wide receiver 2. I'm going to go with Pickens here. Pickens does have a ceiling here. He has a floor, and I think the floor is better than all of them. The ceiling can match what Harrison could do. I'm going to go that route. Although, like I said, I love Harrison, but I don't expect Devontae Smith to play today. They say he may try to work out, which means he's not even a lock to try out to work out, and that they're pessimistic of play. So you got to go Noah Brown. I think Brown plays early, right? Noah Brown, they're in the early game, so you got to make your decision now. And based on our information on Devontae Smith, he's not playing, so we can't do anything different. All right, I got 3 minutes. These are quick answers. PPR, so Taysom. All right, I don't see a question, so we're good there. Walker, Brown, Hall. I think I answered it for somebody else. It was Walker and Brown. If you want to go boom bust, put out Brown and put Hall in. Sit 1. I'm sitting JT. He's out now. He's down 3 linemen again. Tight end and a flex. I'm going to go with Taysom and Gus Edwards here. I don't know how much they need to throw out in today. Morning, Brian. I'm going to go with JSN. I think his floor is a little higher. I don't like the matchup for Mooney. Brian Thomas, McLaurin, Connor need 2. I'm going to sit McLaurin in this one. Goddard or Marvin Harrison. I'm going with Harrison this one. I like Goddard for upside, but Harrison has equivalent upside in this one. All right, let's get these last couple ones answered here. Chris. All right. I'm going to go Rashad White over Dell. Christian. Wow. I'm going to go with Brian Thomas. Close over Lad McConkey. If your gut says McConkey, go with it. But you know what, though? Honestly, I should say McConkey has a higher floor. McConkey has a higher floor in this game. I'm going to go McConkey. He has a higher floor. Where am I at on questions? Here we go. Herbert over Daniels. I think we answered it a bunch of times. Do I start Garrett, Wilson, James, Cook? Irving is very defensible. I think Cook is a great matchup in this one. I would tend to go with Cook. We answered that for you already, Chris. We're going with Josh Allen, or he should run. Murray over Daniels. Herbert. London. Addison. I would tend to go with the Seahawks here. I think that Aaron Rodgers is like scared of pressure. He's going to see a lot of pressure. Wow. I'll go with Pollard. Taylor's been terrible, and he's down 3 linemen. Pollard, DK, Ridley, Judy. Sit 1. I'll sit Judy because he plays outside 62% of the time, and he'll probably see Patrick Surtain a lot. Edwards is the safest. Javonte Williams is the boom bust play. Edwards is safest to get you something. All right, not sure what that means. Chelsea receiver and a flex. This is tough. I'll give Pitt. You know what? I think Adams is a little more upside than Pittman. I'll go Adams. and I'll probably give you I would give you Najee as the next one because of volume. It'll be for volume. I got to answer these. Oh, all right. These are like 2-second answers now. We are going Higgins over Connor. We are going Pitts in this one. Appreciate you, country. We are going Brian Thomas over Mooney. I would go with Adams slightly over Addison. I would start Murray over Richardson. I would go Ed. Chubb has a better chance of scoring a touchdown. I'd go Chubb. I'm gonna go Pollard in this one. I think the weather is going to impact Shakir's upside. PPR pick 2. Brees, Terry, Adams, Tank, pick 2. Going Brees and Terry. Still going Brees and Terry. Some Shakir, Gus, Chubb. Taysom for upside. Shakir if you want a high floor. Going with Burrow on that one. I love Kyler. Kyler has more upside, but Burrow has a higher floor. Oh, man. I'm going to be crazy for saying this because you should start ETN. I think it's a gut call. I think Davis gets carries because of the conditions, but the safer one is ETN. Safer. If you want to get frisky, I think Ray Davis, it's a gut feeling, and don't trust gut feelings. But I think he gets the ball, and I think he does well. But your safest play is ETN. All right. We are going with need 2 receivers in a flex. You listed the same. You got the same name repeated. Baker. I will go with David Moore in this one. That's close. Sit 1. I'm going to sit Adams. Going to sit Pittman. We'll play Goddard. We're going to go with Brees Hall here. Oh, no worry, Chris. I appreciate you, man. Same thing. Chelsea, you're welcome. Appreciate you. Thank you for watching. King Jose. Baker. You know what? Can't sit Lamar. Lamar could go off at any time. Can't sit him. I'm going to go Higgins here. Good luck, everybody. Have a great week. Talk to you next week. I'll be back at 7:45 Eastern for a recap show.